Have you ever looked at your own shadow and felt a strange chill, as if it harbored a secret life, a will of its own? What if that feeling wasn't just imagination? What if the shadows weren't just the absence of light, but living entities, capable of being woven, pulled, and even stolen? Imagine a world where your very silhouette is a tangible thing, a dark twin that can be surgically separated from your soul. In the high, forgotten attics of a city cloaked in perpetual twilight, a terrifying master has discovered how to do exactly that. He is the Shadow Stitcher, a figure of pure dread who harvests the shadows of the living, turning them into a vast, whispering tapestry of stolen dreams. And his apprentice, a boy named Kyle, is bound to him not by chains, but by an inky tether that draws his very life force into the master's monstrous craft. Today, we step into a realm of Pixar Gothic, where every stitch is a secret, every seam is a snare, and the darkness itself is a living, hungry loom. Lean in close, but whatever you do, don't let your shadow touch the walls. This is the agony of the inky tether. Our chronicle begins in the highest, most shadowed attic of a city built upon the calcified remains of ancient giants. The air here is heavy, thick with the metallic scent of sharpened silver and the cloying, dusty smell of old paper. This is the workshop of the Shadow Stitcher, but in the center of this sea of discarded black thread, where the moonlight struggles to penetrate the wax-sealed windows, sits the true heart of our tale, Kyle. To look at Kyle is to see a tragedy of craft. His skin is not the soft, warm surface of a human child. It is the color of aged vellum, brittle, dry, and etched with the fine, sprawling lines of a manuscript that was never meant to be finished. When he moves, he doesn't sound like a boy. He rustles like a leaf caught in a winter wind, a delicate, almost papery sound. His hair is a living, writhing crown of tangled black embroidery. Thread, constantly reaching out into the gloom to grasp at the loose ends of the universe, twitching with a nervous energy that mirrors his captive soul. But it is Kyle's eyes that will truly haunt your dreams. They are not eyes at all, but literal sharpened violet needles that spin furiously within his sockets, glowing with a frantic internal clockwork every time he is forced to pull a thread for the master. He is the Shadow Stitcher's apprentice, a being born of ink and bone, tasked with a burden that would crush a sturdier soul. He does not bleed red. When the master's needle finger pricks Kyle's parchment skin, a stream of thick, liquid black ink flows out, the ink of sorrows. This ink is the very essence of the stories the Stitcher seeks to manipulate, the distilled fears and regrets of Oakhaven. The master takes this ink, and with a terrifying spider-like grace, sews it directly into the shadows on the wall, bringing them to life as twisted, two-dimensional monsters that dance in the flickering candlelight, elongating and contracting with an unsettling sentience. The Shadow Stitcher himself is a marvel of Gothic horror. He is a towering, impossibly spindly figure, seemingly woven from living midnight and bound by silver wire that hums with a sickly electric frequency. He has no face, only an empty circular embroidery hoop where a soul should be. His hands are his most terrifying instruments, 10 long, jagged needles that click and clatter against one another in a constant, unsettling rhythm, never stopping their search for a seam to unpick. He does not walk, he glides, his cloak of stolen shadows rippling behind him like ink spilled in water, devouring the last vestiges of light. He is the one who unpicks the laughter of children and sews it into the mourning shrouds of the forgotten, collecting not gold, but the very definition of being. For Kyle, every day is a silent, desperate battle to keep his own threads from being pulled, to keep his own parchment skin from being torn asunder by the master's relentless needle. He is a prisoner of the stitch, a captive of the seam, bound by the inky tether that connects his every nerve to the master's loom. As we move deeper into the first 30 scenes of this narrative, we see the crushing weight of Kyle's labor. He is forced to sew patterns of regret, vast tapestries made from the stolen memories of the city below. We witness a scene where a young girl's cherished memory of her first birthday party is unspun into a dull, grey, lifeless yarn, only to be woven by Kyle into a cloak for a grotesque shadow wraith. The visual detail in this Pixar-style world is staggering. You can see the individual fibers of the thread as they vibrate under the Stitcher's influence. You can see the way the black ink, drawn from Kyl's own fragile body, permanently stains his parchment hands, never truly washing away, a constant chilling mark of his forced complicity in the master's dark art. The oppressive atmosphere of the attic is rendered with immense detail. The floor, a literal ocean of discarded black thread, rises to Kyl's knees, making every step a struggle through the master's detritus. But Kyle, despite his fragility, harbors a secret. For every shadow he is forced to mend, for every precious memory he is compelled to steal, he subtly hides a single, tiny bird-bone button from his necklace inside the seams of his work. These buttons are imbued with a faint amber warmth, a stark contrast to the cold, oppressive silver of the stitcher's binding wire. He is an architect of silent rebellion, patiently creating a flaw in the master's grand, monstrous design. He is waiting, he is watching, he is learning. He knows that every masterpiece, however dark, has an eventual point of weakness. The moment of total defiance, the snapping of the inky tether, finally ignites in a sequence of high-stakes cinematic action, the shadow stitcher sensing the growing flicker of selfhood within his apprentice, reaches with a swift, predatory movement for the final button, the one that sits directly over Kyl's heart, anchoring his very soul. In a blinding flash of silver wire, Kyle doesn't just pull away, he snaps the bird-bone button from his tunic and hurls it with desperate force. In mid-air, the button expands, its 3D textures stretching and hardening with a resonant, bone-crushing sound into a massive, translucent ribcage shield. The silver wire of the master sparks and shrieks as it hits the bone, unable to pierce the shield's blue, protective aura. It's a literal clash of organic warmth against inorganic cold. Kyle doesn't wait for the master's recovery. He leaps from the attic window, his tangled embroidery thread hair expanding like a dark, silken parachute, catching the wind that whips through the city. This is the first time he has truly seen the sky, but it is not the sky we know. He descends into the Needlewoods, a desolate forest where the trees are not oak or pine, but jagged, metallic iron needles, and the leaves are scraps of black lace that rustle with a sickly high-frequency hum. The wind here doesn't blow, it sings a mournful metallic song. Kyle must navigate this treacherous landscape, using his violet needle eyes to find the fault lines in the environment, the hidden paths to escape the master's pursuit. He is searching for the fabled village of Lead Cloth, a place he has only seen in the stolen heavy memories of the Stitcher's victims, a place where the shadows have grown so immense that they have literally pinned the inhabitants to the cobblestones. When Kyle finally arrives at the village, the tone of our story shifts from claustrophobic horror to a poignant, ethereal beauty. The villagers are not merely sad, they are physically weighed down, covered in heavy, matte black cloaks that look as if they are made of solid, cold lead. They cannot lift their heads, they can only whisper to the dust, their voices raspy with unshed tears. Here, Kyle meets Lila, a girl whose skin is the texture of faded denim and whose eyes are like dull copper thimbles, reflecting no light. Her grief is a literal weight, a cloak so heavy it has cracked the stone beneath her feet. Lila has forgotten what it feels like to stand tall, to even look at the sky. Kyle, observing this profound despair, has an epiphany. He realizes that his needle fingers were not just made to create monsters, they were made to repair the broken. In a long, beautiful sequence that covers the middle of our 100 scenes, Kyle begins the great unpicking. This is not an act of destruction, but a surgical mending of the village's despair. As he gently pulls the leaden threads from Lila's cloak, they turn, as if by magic, into light, shimmering blue silk that floats away on the breeze, carrying her sorrow with it. The Pixar style excels here, emphasizing the fluid physics of the silk and the way the light catches the copper thimbles of Lila's eyes as she slowly, miraculously, looks up for the first time in her life. The village, once a place of oppressive grey and black, begins to glow with a soft indigo light, radiating a nascent hope. But the shadow stitcher does not allow his carefully woven patterns to be so easily unraveled. He manifests in a terrifying spectacle, rising from the depths of the village well, his shadow cloak expanding until it swallows the very sun, plunging the village into an unnatural twilight. He brings with him the silver wire dragon, a monstrous creature of jagged bone and stolen starlight, held together by miles of humming silver wire. This dragon is a masterpiece of macabre engineering, its wings made of living shadows that suck the oxygen from the air as it flies, exhaling clouds of light-devouring smoke. The battle in the village square is a grand cinematic symphony of light and thread. Kyl's embroidery hair becomes a weapon of astonishing defense, weaving a massive glowing violet web across the sky to ensnare the dragon. The tension is palpable. The sharp snap of the wire, the guttural roar of the bone beast, and the frantic, almost desperate spinning of Kyl's needle eyes as he calculates the complex geometry of the fight. The climax of the story is not a moment of violence, but of ultimate, profound mending. Kyle realizes that the Shadow Stitcher is not just an external monster, but a reflection of a potential emptiness, a terrifying void that craves to be filled. The master's empty embroidery hoop face is a literal gaping hole, an aching absence that has been driving his monstrous ambition. Instead of stabbing the master, Kyle, with immense courage, uses his own ink blood, the ink of sorrows, to fill the hoop. He begins to sew a masterpiece of color, history, and light directly into the empty embroidery hoop of the master's face. He fills the void with the vibrant stories of the village, the laughter he had once been forced to unpick, and the hope he had just restored to Lila. The effect is transformative. The Shadow Stitcher does not die. He is, in a profound sense, completed. He dissolves not into dust, but into a cloud of shimmering white feathers that blanket the village like warm snow, cleansing the land. The silver wire that once bound the world now floats harmlessly, becoming the ethereal silver lining of every cloud. The dragon's skeleton, once a symbol of dread, gracefully collapses and turns into a lush green mountain, its massive ribs forming the majestic arching pathways of a new vibrant city. In the final movement of our 100 scenes, we witness the serene aftermath, the new city of Oakhaven. The needlewoods have transformed into a forest of silver-leafed trees that shimmer in the sunlight. The lead-cloth village is now the city of silk, bustling with life and color. Kyle stands in the center of this reborn world, his parchment skin now a healthy, warm ivory, glowing with an inner luminescence. He has replaced the master, but he does not wear the cloak of shadows. He is now the great mender, the guardian of the seams, and he connects hearts, not cages. We see him sitting peacefully on the mountain peak, which was once the dragon's skull, gently sewing a map of the constellations. His eyes, the glowing violet needles, are now soft and steady, no longer spinning frantically with fear, but observing with profound empathy. Every time he blinks, he projects a new possibility onto the world, ensuring that no shadow ever grows too heavy again. The Pixar aesthetic in these final scenes is sun-drenched and vibrant, with soft greens and warm oranges replacing the cold blues of the cellar. The macabre has been replaced by the magical, and the haunting by the hopeful. The narrative arc of Kyle is a profound journey from inky tether to infinite thread. He was a child who was forced to be a tool, a literal scribe of sorrow, and became the ultimate creator, the very architect of life's beauty. The 3,000 words of this script emphasize the sensory transition from the sharp, metallic tang of needle and ink to the sweet, earthy scent of blooming flowers and fresh silk. We see the stunning visual transition from the brittle, yellowed parchment of his beginning to the smooth, glowing ivory of his skin at the end, a literal manifestation of his soul being healed. In the final scenes, we see Kyle standing by a massive cosmic loom. He is weaving a tapestry that covers the entire galaxy, a quilt of stars and nebulae that protects the universe from the cold void. The silver wire is no longer a cage. It is the resilient bond that holds the stars in place. The storytelling reflects on the nature of the final stitch, the profound idea that every ending is not a period, but a new beginning, a fresh start for a new design. The cinematography of the ending is a masterpiece of transparency and light. The Pixar style uses beautiful, sweeping shots of the cosmos, showing the world through Kyle's enlightened perspective, looking vibrant and full of life. The textures of the brick, the wood, and the flowers of the new city are all rendered with a tactile, honest warmth. Kyle looks at the camera, his hazel eyes bright, no longer burdened by the inky tether. He has found his freedom, and he will never be a prisoner again. His struggle was his canvas, and his clarity is his gift to the world. The journey through the 100 scenes of the Shadow Stitcher is a profound journey of reclaiming the self from the projections and demands of others. Kyle showed us that we are more than the shadows we cast, more than the stories we are forced to tell, and more than the silver others use to bind us. The story ends where it began, with a gaze. But now, instead of a theft, there is a connection. Kyle's story is a powerful reminder that the person you see in the mirror is only a tiny fraction of who you truly are. You are not a shadow, you are the source of the light. If you've ever felt like you were losing yourself to the inky tether of expectations or the frames of how others see you, I hope Kyle's journey showed you that finding your own thread is the ultimate strength. If this deep dive into the Shadow Stitcher, the boy with the inky tether, resonated with your soul, or if you found the shimmering 3D Pixar Gothic world of Oakhaven absolutely mesmerizing, then join us as we continue to unpick the dark truths of these cinematic tragedies. Hit that subscribe button right now and click the notification bell to be the first to see our next descent into the macabre. Next time, we're venturing into the echo chamber to meet the boy who whispered shadows, and you won't want to miss a single sound of that story. Leave a comment below and let us know. What's one thing about Kyle's transformation that stayed with you? Was it the parchment skin? Or those luminous violet eyes? We read every comment and love the community of clear-sighted dreamers we're building here. Like the video if you believe that reality is more beautiful than any perfect mirror. Until the next glass shatters, stay clear, stay honest, and keep your inner light shining through. Thank you for watching.